And but obviously, want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself first.
hmm
Sure. What's our timing today, Robin and Leanne? Just so I don't waste people's.
We usually try to keep it under an hour. If it ends up being 20 minutes, that's fine too. We whatever if we run 30 minutes and then open it up for some chat, some questions, you know. So there's really we've run over an hour before, but we try to keep it under an hour, and 30 minutes is not a bad number.
Beautiful. Cool. Yeah, I'm a teacher by trade, and so I can get a little bit verbose. I just want to make sure I'm honoring everyone's time. Yeah, so
Thank you, sir.
Soul Learning was started as an initiative to teach initially our young adults skills in how to build their own houses, so sustainable architecture and how to power those, so sustainable energy, how to grow their own food. We do some sustainable agriculture and sustainable economics, how to keep money local. And we've done everything from big, diverse kind of umbrella programs that have kids blacksmithing and building straw bale buildings and composting toilets and living roofs and growing food and milking goats and making cheese and all kinds of fun stuff. And then this last year, we ran a pilot to have those students that have been with me for a number of years, or at least that first initial year, embark on exploring one of our big issues here locally, which is affordable housing. And so we did a pilot program to build a tiny house, and then I'll show you that. I don't know. I'm happy to answer questions. Again, I'm a teacher by trade, so feel free to interrupt if anybody on the call has a quick question to interject, or Robin or Leanne as well, or if you want a little bit more background. But essentially, I've owned and run a business since 2011 that was EdCom Inc. That's the umbrella that we operate under. And EdCom was created as or it was created because we saw a need to bridge academia and industry partners to make sure that trades programs were sending their graduates out into the workforce with skills that were relevant to the current workforce. And so we do a lot of, obviously, workforce development and teaching. When we teach kids how to do solar, we teach them how to do it to code, and we teach them how to do plumbing, or rainwater harvesting. They do it to plumbing code and the like. And so that's kind of the initial beginnings for Soul. And then Soul was just a local fun project to kind of teach those things that we were excited about teaching, and we have been fabricating equipment and training teachers and writing curriculum for, and it was a way for us to do it ourselves. And then it's really grown. And now we are moving into a full-on production mode and taking orders and using that as our financial viability to keep the Sustainability Institute going, so that students don't have to pay tuition, which is cool. So that's the roots. And so
well, that sounds pretty cool. Yeah. Let me ask you real quick.
Yeah.
I see these two units that are outside, and I know it's cold outside. Are you guys building them indoors, or are they built outdoors and you just have to deal with the weather?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, so Robin, so we ran our program from, we just wrapped up an adult program where 12 adults were working on a tiny house, and that ended in the middle of October, which in California, we really don't get much weather until then. And then we are on hold build-wise, and we are moving into a new facility at the beginning of the year, in January 1st. And so we'll be inside after that. But we have been in collaboration. This is at a parking lot at one of our local schools. It's a beautiful campus of 400 acres. But we've been working out of a shipping container and really just throwing out tools and chairs and teaching and building, and then loving that collaboration. But as we've grown, it's time to kind of move into a little bit more production mode. And yeah.
Oh. Well, why don't you show us around a little bit then?
Yeah, so this is a very imperfect tiny house. I've got quite a few things I'd love to change about it, but this was built by teenagers, roughly 15 to 21 years old, and in collaboration with our local contractors and myself. And we did a fun reclaimed windows and doors, so the windows don't match, and the door is a cool, fun Mr. Ed Dutch door that needs an awning. And And then we this lumber on the outside, the cedar is just a locally milled cedar. And then we have some of our trees come down because of the blue kill pine. It's hard to see on camera, but this is all really beautiful blue beetle kill pine on the interior. And then, yeah, we just did a really simple, straightforward design. This was meant, again, as a pilot. And we have just a loft, little bathroom in the back, and a kitchen along the way. And I'm happy to, answer questions. This one's 95% done. There's some trim that needs to be finished out, and a little bit of casing and things like that. But we did a little
So
vessel
this is
sink in the
not
bathroom. And
This is not for sale yet.
this is the one that I keep not wanting to sell. So
Oh, okay.
it was our first build, and it was a lot of fun. And like I said, there's a lot that we've changed in our future models that I wish this one had better. We just did reclaimed windows. They're beautiful high-end windows, but they don't match. And a lot of the upper windows, or really all of them, they don't open. There's not a nice ventilation. We put ceiling fans in our new builds and things like that. But it was a really fun learning project. We had a good time with it. So, and the kids, they got to learn all the things. So this was our teenage build. And then, like I said, over 20 weeks, we had adults learning to do the same thing. And we started from just a chassis trailer from Iron Eagle. And we built from scratch this tiny house, which is still under construction. We truncated and cut the course short because I had a child that was due and then was born, of course, a few weeks ago. And so it's not completed, but the students got to do a little bit of everything. They got to, they would frame on a Friday. It was a once a week class. And then by the time they would frame walls, and by the time they got to it, the following Friday, we had finished framing those walls as a crew. And then they moved on to the roof, and then they'd work on that for a day, see how to frame a roof. And then by the time they got there the next week, that would be done so they could start putting on sheathing and installing windows and doors and things like that. So they did a little bit of everything.
Look at the can we take a look at the inside of that one, Travis?
Yeah, so absolutely. So yeah, so this is a little bit of a large 30-foot trailer. Again, we used a local mill for the cedar, and we did this Japanese Sho Sugibon burn for the trim, which is really fun. And then we're playing with that. This is a mirror, so we just torched that with a roofing torch for aesthetics. And then we're just real quick before I step inside, we're doing a kind of a mirror of that and actually torching the field on this one. So the siding on this one is burned, and then the trim. So it's fun to play around with. Just
did Travis freeze? Oh, there he moves. Now he's moving it. Okay,
yeah.
He froze for a second there.
About that, the reception's not best. So of course, it's been raining here, so all the tools are in here, so it's a bit of a mess. Robin, as far as interior, you can definitely see what we're using. Use mineral wool for the walls and the floor. That's R15. And we use a spray foam insulation for the ceiling. That's R21. We've been doing this little bump out on the tongue, which gives us storage for propane below, and then gives us a little shelf and cubbies in an interior space where we put a Murphy's bed on one wall and a little office desk on the other. And then we're doing a little custom cabinet on the top with a pop-down projector, so we can make it into a little media room as well. We pull some Japanese influences, obviously with the burn on the outside, and then we're putting in a rice paper dividing wall here with a projector screen on it. And then just to throw that in there. Yeah, we're doing a single loft on this one. And then the students got to do most of the bathroom. They didn't finish the trim. We've been using this really nice geo bamboo product from Cali Bamboo. It's kind of a geo-engineered product that's pretty water resistant, which is nice for kitchens and baths for the floor. This is, again, a locally milled pine for the interior. And then we did a little vessel sink. We have a little yet to be stained cabinet that has the washer and dryer connections. So it's a little chase, so you don't see the hoses and the like. Some fun little live edge also yet to be stained backsplash. And then we did a little bit more of an insert on this one. And then, yeah, our toilet goes in the back, but it's still, trim, things like that to finish up.
Nice.
How long is
Pretty
this trailer,
simple.
Travis? How long is this one?
This is a 30-foot trailer.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like it's
So,
got a lot
The first
to it.
Yeah, we moved. I mean, we do custom builds now, Robin. So we do whatever people are wanting. We've got a guy up in the mountains that's doing a mountain biking retreat, that's doing some 6-foot bunk beds and a shower room. And then we have that first one was 24 feet, and we moved as far as affordable housing goes, and that's one of the pieces we use this trailer for when we're talking to local officials. As we try to get them to be more accepted as ADUs, like similar counties around us, the 30-foot allows us to have a downstairs bedroom. And that's just such a huge issue for people that are wanting to live in them long term, and it's not just an Airbnb, is making up a loft and climbing down the stairs in the middle of the night to go pee and all of that. So having that downstairs bedroom, we can really make it happen with that 30-foot trailer. We
Yeah.
do one in 24 trailer with
I think we lost him. We lost you for a second, Travis. When you come back, if you can still hear me, I noticed you had a full set of stair carriages in there. It looked like like a 8-inch rise and a 10-inch run. So that's more of a normal set of stairs that we wouldn't see in a tiny house. Is there a reason why you made it like that?
Yeah. Am I back?
Yes.
Yeah. So this was, and these aren't fully whatever. This was just to demonstrate to students how to make a stringer. And so we wanted to show that. These are just tacked in. We're not sure if we're going to go with this. It does take up quite a bit of space. But it is a more conventional run. And you're absolutely right, Robin, and good eyes. I think it's about a 7 and 10, 7.5 and 11 or something like that. I'd have to recall. It's been a few weeks. But honestly, it was more to just show how to build a stringer more than anything. But we do it, it's a nice extra storage space. This one's been put on hold because the class finished. And it'll be built out to one of our clients' specifications. And so they may or may not want a full stair. Not having the full stair gives them a nice little nook here for a fold down table underneath this window if they go a little steeper.
Right. And just so everybody knows, in Appendix AQ, you can go with a 7-inch, I believe a minimum is 7-inch run and a 12-inch riser. So that's a much steeper stair than what we got going right there. You don't have to go that steep, but that's kind of maxing things out right there according to Appendix AQ. And there's supposed to be a landing at the top too. That's 18 inches down from, I think it's 14 to 18 inches down from the loft. There should be a landing that's double the width of your treads.
Sure. Yeah, this is definitely tacked up, and we were gonna. But yeah, that makes a big difference, Robin, because I think our finished loft height is something around 80-ish inches. So if you do a 12-inch, rise, that's not that many stairs. It takes up a lot less space.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. What else you got for us there, Travis? That one that you had shelled up, what is that one all about? You don't have siding on it?
Correct. This one we are, let's see if I can. This is students, that same adult group. Because we had a large group of 12 students, I like to keep the ratio pretty small. So we had myself and another general contractor here working together. And so we would split the group into groups of 6. And so they worked on this one up through obviously door and window installation, and they started doing the siding, which is this burned black siding. And then that's it. And then they stopped so that we could focus on the interior to show them a little bit more of electrical and plumbing and the bathroom and things like that. But it's
Okay.
the same exact floor plan and layout as this one here.
Okay.
Mm.
All right. Cool.
And how long is that trailer?
It's also 30 feet.
30. That other one looked longer for some reason.
Yeah, they're both 30, and that's kind of what we usually again, that's what we're doing kind of for this project. But we do the 24.
All right. Well, that's good. Is there any questions before we let Travis go? But are there any questions? We want to milk everything we can out of him as far as ideas and things like that. Guys, do you see anything that you like or don't like or would change along these?
Oh yeah, please.
I like
whether
that
it's about
siding on the outside.
or anything or about the school, whatever's interesting to people. And I can change once, but I know we ran through that.
So are you still doing the soul kits?
We are, yeah. So we
Tell us about that.
yeah. So we have we do the classes obviously, and then we do builds obviously, and we do those as custom builds. We're really small. We build. We're aiming to build 12 units next year. We're pretty small. But then we also do a kit, and that is one of our trailers packed with all of the materials that are needed for the build. And then that comes with a online class that guides people through framing, electrical, wiring, and finished carpentry. And then that's paired with a bi-weekly online live call so that our contractors and electricians and plumbers, depending on what phase we're in, can guide people through to make sure that the answers or the questions are answered and everything's done correctly and kind of thing.
And you ship them all over the country?
We will be, yeah. So that's a pilot we're doing right now. We've got a couple people that are running that kit and then giving feedback, and then we're making those recordings. And so once those are all wrapped up, our goal is to really release that to schools for the fall of 2023. That's our main audience, is for schools, construction programs.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
So you were saying that you get your cedar and your pine from a local sawmill. Is there a reason why you go to a local sawmill rather than your building supply house for those?
Yeah, we have those three tenets of what we teach: sustainable agriculture, architecture, and economics. And on the economic piece, our goal is to try to keep the finances here in our community as much as we possibly can. And so when available, we purchase from our smaller electrical store here and plumbing store. And then we don't have anyone that's currently has their license or certificate up to date to be stamping structural wood. Otherwise, we would be buying structural wood here as well. But we get that from our material yard. But for the finished material, the exterior and the interior siding, we try to support our local mills. And so we have a couple that we work with that do. We have one that specializes obviously in cedar, and then another guy out of Georgetown, which is about 40 minutes away, and he just does an amazing job on pine, kind of shiplap and tongue and groove. Yeah.
And have you priced it out either way? Is it more expensive or about the same?
Yeah, the cedar is a little bit, well, it's not too much when you throw in the time, the effort, and then the just that's kind of where our is based into. It makes sense. But it's slightly more expensive on the cedar, and it's comparable on the pine. He gives a really good deal, and we obviously order quite a bit. We send him a lot of business, and his overhead is small. He's a one-man operation.
Okay. I see you using mini splits on all of them. I guess they're sourced out of online somewhere.
Yeah, that's a Home Depot purchase.
Okay. And what are you putting on your roofs?
We do a standing seam metal roof.
Okay.
I can get a good view. Here's this one we can get. We sometimes go through U.S. Metal. This one was from Western Metal or Western States Metal, but they make a nice product. It's a nice standing seam. I don't get from here. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I noticed if you start from your first unit to your last unit, I noticed that your last unit seems like it has quite a few more windows in it. Um, Not only they match, but there's actually more fenestration in that second and third unit that you have done there.
Absolutely. And even more importantly, they all open,
Yeah.
which was our, first we grabbed these windows. We got the windows on the first unit from the same guy that gave my father-in-law his windows 30 years ago when he built his house. He used to work for Milgard, and he would go out to their boneyard where they throw all of the things that have slight defects or that were returns, and he would just buy them all up and then sell them at a discount to people. And there were windows that Milgard would just throw away. And some good stories of them paying for people to just like smash those into a dumpster. And back then in the 80s, he was able to go to the owner and say, hey, you've got two guys out there all day long. How much are you paying them to like get rid of these windows? Why don't I just take them? And they worked out a really good deal, and he grew from there. But long story short is they're beautiful windows. They're great. And, but most of them are fixed windows. And so the airflow is not ideal. So we learned a lot on that build, but we had fun. So, yes, all the windows open, lots more of them.
Yeah, just so everybody knows, the standard that we work to is 8% of the floor area for fenestration, for light, for glass. Bring in 8% of the floor area. So if it's 8 foot by 3, that's 210 square feet. You multiply that times 0.08, and that would give you how many windows or doors, I guess if they're glass doors, they would count. And then as far as opening, windows that will open, that's 4% of the floor area. Just, put that in the back of your head when
Nice.
You're designing these things, and 8% and 4%.
Oh, that's a great little note, Robin. Yeah, because they don't all need to open. But it is really nice, especially when you have warmer climate, to have at least some of the upper windows and be able to let that air out.
Yeah. And what we've discovered is hot air rises. So especially in the warm climates, the lofts are always hot. They're always warm. So I haven't solved that problem yet, but if anybody can figure out how to solve that problem, that would really help the industry.
Absolutely. Yeah, people actually putting the mini split in the loft, but
yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
that might be the solution. Put it up
Yeah.
in the loft,
I don't know. That's a tough one.
especially if you have a double loft.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
All right. Anybody got any more questions?
Sharon just commented that she loves that you support local materials.
Yeah.
Sharon's in California.
Oh,
What city are you, Travis? Tell me again.
we're in Nevada City,
Nevada City, that's right.
or Nevada.
Great.
All right. Well, Bonnie and I will be in Colorado Springs tomorrow for the International Code Council Colorado chapter meeting, trying to promote tiny houses a little bit. So anybody that knows anyone there or lives there would like to attend the annual meeting, we're going to have a booth there. Not sure what it's going to be all about, but basically we're promoting remote inspections. That's been the challenge with tiny houses moving into modulars. Most modulars don't allow remote inspection. So as you builders go from a temporary housing to permanent housing, moving from an RV standard to a dwelling standard like ICC, remote inspections are very important to keep those affordable. So
Yeah, it's really exciting. I wish I could be there.
yeah. Now I've got a little PowerPoint I can share with everybody if you've got a couple of minutes. If I could take a couple of minutes, if you don't mind. Thumbs up over there. All right, let me share my
I
screen
got a
real
thumbs
quick.
up.
All right. Basically, tomorrow they're going to be talking about the tiny house bill, what they're going to use for the standard, whether it's, what is it? It's a permanent home. This is what a tiny home is, and what it's not. It's not a manufactured home. It's not a recreational park trailer or a recreational vehicle. It's not a semi-trailer or an intermodal shipping container. So they define what it is: 400 square feet, livable, that kind of a thing. And this is what the slide I really wanted to focus on is they're promulgating these rules. The board has to consider, this is by statute, state statute, the importance of keeping tiny homes affordable, the unique characteristics of tiny homes, such as size constraints and construction on a chassis, so they can be moved from site to site, that many tiny homes are built by shops producing fewer than 20 units per year. So any kind of inspection processes that are more like a factory that does a lot of homes wouldn't be conducive to either the manufacture of 20 or less per year. The fact that homes are custom built rather than mass produced is another thing for them to consider, and that tiny homes are built by owners sometimes rather than commercial shops. So those are really some important considerations. And I think that if they'll stick with this, that we'll end up with a good outline. What they're going to use is the 2018 IRC with amendments from 2021 Appendix Q. And I'm not sure if we're going to use the international tiny home provisions, but that may or may not be a good use. And I'm hoping they don't use that. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of share what is going on in Colorado. It's really important, because whatever happens in Colorado will probably move on to other states. This is a first statewide mandate, statewide statute that's been written.
Super exciting, Robin. Thank you for doing that work. That's huge for us as builders, and definitely for our clients. It's one of the biggest issues they face, and so yeah, doing similar work.
Does Catherine have her hand up?
You're muted, hon.
I was saying Catherine learned not to put her hand up before talking. So that's what I was doing. It was interesting. You were just reading in that intermodal and container homes are not going to be considered as tiny homes in Colorado. Is that correct? That
is correct. That is correct. They're only dealing with tiny houses on wheels. Now, container homes can be built as modulars, and they can be site-built homes, but they're not going to be considered in this bill, which is just strictly focusing on tiny houses on wheels. Tiny houses as container homes, and tiny houses built site-built or built in a factory as modulars that aren't on wheels can already be built in Colorado.
Oh, okay. Well, the gentleman that I'm working with on that Pinellas County community, he has his heart set on container homes because he's, certain those are the safest. And I'm trying to help to him know that maybe that's not always the case, but it's, I just want to make sure we're still on the path. So is there anything you guys could help me share with him that would give him the knowing that these new tiny homes on wheels can withstand hurricanes? Because we are in Florida, and people have their thoughts, and you can't always, unless you come armed with knowledge.
Yeah, no, the NOAA standard builds to 140 mile an hour wind loading. Container homes there are some good things about them, and there's some negative things about them. Number one, the size restriction. They're either going to be 20 by 8 or they're going to be 40 by 8, 40 feet long by 8 foot wide. Now you can get the 9 foot high tiny homes, which container homes, which a lot of people do go with that, but you're restricted to that size on that. And they're a little bit tough to work with to insulate, and you basically have to frame inside of the container home in order to build, you know, your walls and everything. And then you have to have somebody that's proficient in welding to weld the window frames in. So all in all, I try to steer people away from container homes, but there's a lot of people doing them out there, and I can't hold them back. I mean, if they want to do it, it's to me, it's a lot more work, but that's
how
entirely
God
up to
brought
them.
me into this whole thing was when during COVID, I was given the opportunity to, the only place I had to stay during the COVID was in a shipping container that was a construction. It just had drywall, and I finished it out, and I understand about the heating and the cooling and there's a lot of stuff if people aren't thinking they're going to come up against it, but that's part of us educating, is to help them know better. You know, that's what my goal is myself. And that's why I love being a part of this. So thank you for all that you share. I'm grateful.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Thank you, Catherine. Well, let
You're
me turn it
welcome.
over to Leanne then. Turn it back to you if you want to kind of wrap us up.
All righty, well, any other questions or comments for Travis? I just want to thank you, Travis, for joining us. I know that you are super busy, and Travis also has a new month-old baby girl at home. So he was going to come on sooner, but we're like, okay, let's just wait till the baby's born and make sure all is well. So I know you're very busy, so we really appreciate you coming on and sharing with us about your program for the students. And I learned that it's not just the teenagers, you got all ages of students. So all the best to you. I'm sure I'll talk to you soon. And if nobody has any other questions, we will close this out for today. Tomorrow will be another Tiny Talks at 5 p.m. So same time, same place. And just want to say thanks again, Travis. Hope you guys all have a great night, great Monday. Have a wonderful week. And
All right.
we'll talk with you soon. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Leanne.
Bye, guys.
everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Bye,
Bye.
Travis. Thank you. Bye.